Again for a year ahead view, that doesn't make any sense, of what's going on in Cov in 2025. I did a 2024 video, don't think I ever posted it, so let's see how this goes. We're going to start on Corporation Street, so I'm basically going to walk around the ring road and see what we get to. Obviously IKEA is over there, I'll explain more about that later. First thing to note is the final bit of the co-op building development is happening this year. You'll see it says to let on the side. I imagine that will be the entrance to the new hotel, which will be underneath the building. There's a series of rooms. I think they can have up to, I think it's like 30 or 40 beds. You won't have a window, but it'll be a cheap place to stay. I think it's part of the Apart Hotels group, which are around the country and I've stayed in them before. So yeah, that's the final bit of the co-op building, which of course was done almost 10 years ago. I know, time disappears, but the final piece will be completed this year. I'm here in Abbotts Lane, Linear Park, which is in pretty good nick. I mean, it's funny how time disappears. This was a 2021, 22. I mean, this is the first day of 2025 today. And as you can see, this big mound of earth is where the new housing scheme will be. And to the end of 22, it went to court because the council threw it out because it was high density development near the city centre. Absolutely madness. But the planning inspectorate overruled them, so they incurred £250,000 costs. And yeah, I think the planning officers weren't best pleased because they wanted this scheme to happen, and obviously it's been delayed by 2 years. But I believe some recent amendments to the application went in, so I'm hopeful that it will begin this year, and I think it's best part of 700-800 flats going here. Scale density, so the sort of St Osberg side of the far end, there'll be 3-4 stories, and then building up to the ring road they'll be like these big tall buildings, but not student accom, all residential, mixed use development, build to rent, you know, retail sales. I think there's a bit of social housing in there as well, so they just need to get on with it because this has sat here for a couple of years now, and the park was meant to be the centrepiece of a scheme. So either side of me there are blank plots of land just sitting there doing nothing, but the scheme was approved, went to planning inspectorate, so it should happen, and I'm hoping there'll be some movement of this giant mound of earth very shortly, because they did all the sort of groundworks, started to clear a lot of this about 18 months ago, so yeah, we'll see what happens. The other thing to note is this park should eventually walk straight past the Belgrade, but that hasn't been done yet either. They need permission. Lamb Street scheme off the back of the Telegraph Hotel, I'm not really sure actually, because it was meant to be part of the student accom of this ilk, but obviously it's sat there for a number of years now. I think they're still planning for it, but it's whether or not, obviously the student market is a bit collapsed at the minute, so they're probably just holding on to it, to be honest. But we will see. Keep an eye on that one. I'll add anything if I find it. So this one at the bottom of the Burges, I suppose, next to the old grammar school. This one, the hoardings have just gone up in the last couple of months of this, and a bit of groundworks on some utilities. This is going to be a block of flats, but not very high, sort of 4 stories with retail at the bottom, and will blend in with the rest of the street, because this was always meant to be flats, but after the war it never got done. But this is another CDP project, so it will match the 50s style of the other end of Corporation Street, so it'll be brick and it'll look a bit like a Telegraph Hotel. So that one, this work has just started, so and again it was given planning permission a number of years ago. Whether or not it's run out of time or they just renew it, but or whether this work was just to tick a box to give them another 2 years to start, it is still on the agenda to do. It's still on the active projects list, so this could be a 3 or 4 story building very shortly, and it's actually quite a nice one, looks very good. Also worth mentioning, the unit over there next to Philip Larkin is currently Meter Rooms, which is a set of studios for artists. It has been for the best part of a decade. that will be changing. The building has been bought by Edge Property Group, who did the Co-op building, which we looked at a minute ago, as well as things like the Mailbox and the Cube in Birmingham. Done a lot of good stuff, and they also did Sirius, which is at the top of the Burges, which is another housing scheme. This will be a housing scheme as well, so they're going to add a story to match it up with the student accommodation at Fortress House and actually do something better with the frontage. I mean, all that, those windows and glazing and all that kind of stuff needs doing. And it will be, instead of all retail units, it'll be 2. So I think some of them will be put back together and then they'll be let out again. So the bottom floor will still be retail, but then there'll be an extra story. It will be much taller than the Philip Larkin, and it'll be some more high quality housing in the city centre, which is a shame for the loss of the studios for artists. Again, it's a tricky one, because this will generate some rates for them, for the council, and they've obviously tried to get a developer in to do something with this street, and obviously Corporation Street has needed a lot of work, but it's whether or not we can find another space that's good for artists. These sort of empty between use spaces are hard to come by, as we'll explore as we head towards City Centre North, which is the next stop on this gander. So as I head over towards City Centre North, Ego have moved into the old grammar school because their old premises at the top here is due to go. The Transport Museum, again, this kind of links into IKEA as well. What is the future of the Transport Museum? I imagine for 2025 at least it will remain here, so we'll leave that out of any conversations. But City Centre North here is arguably, I mean, for me, it is the worst area in the city centre, it's without a doubt. And I appreciate there's some small businesses here and some creative studios and spaces, but in terms of how it is, state of repair wise, it is a mess. So Ego have moved out of this building, and the Booper building, as you'll see, is gone. That's why you can see Cook Street Gate. That was removed middle of 2024, well actually probably second half 2024, and it's cleared because all of this area is up for development. So City Centre North is the next opportunity for a developer to come in and do something, and it's gone out to various people, but it may end up that certain plots will be used or not. At the minute it's just become a car park, but even the Royal Warwick's Club is up for the scheme, everything up to the student accom all the way here, including the Transport Museum if necessary. So it's a big space of land, and I saw a scheme last year for the Royal Warwicks for like a 30-storey building but that it was just like a pre-planning sort of guess of what you could do with such a plot. But it would be good to get an all-encompassing scheme that would be planned for the whole area rather than just plots, because that's what we tend to do. We stick buildings in where developers want them. We don't really have master plans, or we don't have any staff or capability to do such a thing. But it would be good if you could join up these plots and do something that looked like it was meant to be, rather than just sticking it all together. Here we are under Cook Street Gate. Obviously one you can stay in. Way, just by Swanswell or Volgograd Place. Again, nothing happening there. You'll see Code there, which is the tallest building. The foundations are in for the second part of that, which is just as tall, and it's happening. But it won't just be student accom. It's a mixed-use scheme where there will be a residential as well as student accom. They changed the use of it midway through, but they haven't actually built anything yet. It's just the foundations. But we'll walk past there in a second. Now, just you gotta bear with me on this one, because obviously this is a complete mess. But here is the River Sherbourne. I've been down here a number of times, and this is a £2 million scheme to bring you a bit closer to the river. And as you can see, I mean, it's hard to see. You can kind of see, there you go. it's been channeled a little bit so it looks faster, and the planting will go in the new year. Well, we are in the new year, and I think it'll be done in the next couple of months. Obviously this bit is all part of it, so it'll be planted, there'll be nice things, places to sit, a bit more accessible. But this building is the next thing, and this needs grants and money and all sorts. It needs a new roof, but this will become like a hub or a cafe, or even like a literary building extension, like an art space, to bring life down here. Because if it doesn't have life, it will quickly revert to being the mess that it is today. But it's excellent that such a scheme got some money. I appreciate that's really awkward to look at because of the stupid netting, so I won't do that. But yeah, behind the bird is one of the most historic places in the city. There is the River Sherbourne flying off out to Baggington, but soon you'll be able to sit next to it, which is very unusual in the city centre because it's mostly under a big culvert. So as I said, there's code, there's the second code building, foundations are in, that's ready to go here next to Pool Meadow, and that will be pretty tall indeed. So that will be happening this year. And we'll head up this way, past the cathedral. Here obviously I'm gonna bypass the swimming baths and the elephant because they're ongoing. I have no updates. They are available to purchase or rent or do what you want. Just need a developer. So if you know a developer with multi-millions, then please let them know that a listed building with massive footprint is available to do something fun with. Some schemes went out about a year ago of what might happen. Knock off the end of the splash pool, put a block of flats there to pay for the rest of it. Multi-use development, blah blah blah. Hasn't materialised as yet. Obviously finances are difficult at the moment, but you never know. That would be the answer, if anything, but don't know. We will see on that one. The Herbert and the hub, and this time a year ago this park was being created, so Phoenix Tree went in January 24. It's ridiculous really where that year is gone. And then beyond it you can see the Delia Derbyshire building is open. That opened in May, so there's no more big uni schemes in this area at the moment. It's all been halted because of their financial issues. But yeah, so not much here other than Draper's now under new management, available for anything that you want to do really. Weddings, parties, events, just get in touch with them. They are ready to go and have a new operator in place as of now. So again, they're probably mentioned in the last video, the new headquarters for the uni, but that is on hold because it's another 60 million quid scheme that they don't have any money for at the moment, but it's there. They've got planning, still got more planning, so we'll see if that ever happens. But I mean, it's still on the agenda. It's just when funds allow, and that will really help for that space because it's just sitting there at the minute with a security guard. The only thing that's left to do is the CBS, so the Cop Building Society will be Oxford College. Noodle Bar have moved into the old basement Browns. Tesco have moved in here from Shelton Square. Everything else is in use. Obviously ignore all the Christmas nonsense. Something that happened that was put in a year ago was the renewal of the balustrades and lamps on Broadgate and the wood and all that stuff. That's been put in again, so whether or not that will happen, I mean, it should happen because we need these, like, A, working, and B, actually restored and in good order. The other side hasn't got any lamps, so you know it's a bit of a mess, and it'd be good to have some light. So they're part of this year's plan. I really hope it gets done. We will see. Now we're getting into the meat of the day. What is happening here? So we're in City Centre South. This is the biggest scheme to happen in Cov since the war. Everything you see in front of me will be demolished. Obviously not the old listed buildings, and not the Empire, because that's doing really well. So they've still got another year on their lease. No idea, but that's all fine. Everything in front of me, time to go, and you will see that most of the shops on the right hand side will be empty as we walk through here. Bored of hearing me talk about these William Mitchell fiberglass panels. I'm peeping Tom. There'll be new imprints have been taken of those. They're going in the new buildings that will be going here. All of these units have moved. As you can see, Ryman's gone to lower Precinct. Everything has moved that wants to move. And yeah, this will all be demolished, including obviously this Morag Myers-Koff artwork, which was put in pursuit of culture. It was always due to be temporary anyway, but yeah, everything on the right here will be gone. Here we are again at Hertford House. I don't know how many times I've done videos about this, but there is a 28-foot long mural behind that door, and the method statement for its removal and storage went in about a month ago. So I'm pretty hopeful that will be chopped up into about 4 or 5 pieces and then relocated, plus a resin version will be going outside in full. As you can see, we're here on Bullyard. We're looking up the street. Everything is gone now. 3 tons, again, method statement is in for its removal. Obviously going to need to take the roof off the buildings, then they're going to have to flat pack it out because it's on boards, but we'll see how that goes. I've got to sort of chain myself to all of these buildings to make sure that the things they say they're going to do actually happen. You know, even Phoenix moving. Anything else? Methodist Church put in some plans to change their frontage. See that sort of horrible 80s canopy? I think they want to add in a bit to their building at the front. Everything you see here is going. So I know it's New Year's Day, everything will be closed anyway, but all of these shops have gone. This will begin in February, March time. Things will be boarded up. Another round of archaeology to do, and things will start to disappear. All the way up to the Litten Tree, which has to be out end of next week, second week of January. That will be gone. So get down in the next week if you want. But yeah, we'll have another walk down here just to give you an idea of the scale of what is actually going here. Barrack's car park, enormous block in the middle of all this, due to go. I think that's closing also start of the year, like now. So yeah, it's all happening now after years of chatter. I mean it's 15 years. 15 years talking about all this, half of my life, but now it's actually due to start. I keep seeing like families and people walking through here, and it's completely dead, obviously, and they're all looking around going, oh, look at the state of it, and it's obviously deliberate. It's really tricky. I know lots of the shops have put they're moving, but we really need to get some hoardings of things because it's in such a mess now that it's beginning to it just impacts the sort of visitors, and no one knows what's happening. People just wander around looking at it all in a mess, and it is. Obviously we're here on Market Way, and the market is here, so everything up to the market is going. The market is obviously staying, and yeah, everything else is gone. Other than the pigeons, they're enjoying their lives because all the people have gone. But other than that, this will be, I think, well, where I'm stood now will be a 12-storey building. So yeah, just need to get on with it. We've just got to get on with it now. Everything is just too far gone. We just need to move forward. Here we are in the arcade. Completely closed. I mean, it is New Year's Day anyway, but completely gone. Will be demolished. And you know, I'm done with all the you know, oh, it's so sad kind of comments. We've been there for 5-10 years now, talking about what could and should be happening here, but it's not. It's going, and the sooner it happens, the better now, because everything is in a right old mess. So yes, maybe the last New Year for the arcade. It might just be boarded up. It may not be demolished by next year, but it may be. So who knows? Leave the arcade. It brings me nicely to IKEA. So again, I'm bored of talking about what this is and what it means. It is happening. It's an arts collection hub. It was always going to be, and it always will be. Whatever ambitions of residents might be. This is what's happening, because the Arts Council and the British Council have signed up to do it. Now, obviously, ISG went into liquidation, but it's not been officially announced. But in the new year, which is now, a new building contractor will be announced who will be picking up the project and continuing it in 2025. So fear not, only 5% of the budget was actually used, and that was mostly on the scaffold, which they're going to use anyway because they need to do it. So the Cultural Gateway project will continue. I appreciate people always have to complain because they don't have the information to hand immediately, but these things take time. If a company goes bust, it's a legal nightmare, and I think the council have worked round the clock to get someone in to just carry this on, otherwise it'll stall and never happen. And it is happening. There will be a new contractor announced imminently. I feel like I haven't done much detail on this because it's very cold on January the 1st and very grey, and I'm not very well, but I've given it a go. I've just done a big loop, and there's obviously loads of other things. Oh, like behind me, very light rail. We'll try and explain that. I'll go up to the station. But I forget things as I go around, but there's actually quite a lot due to start this year. Don't know how many things will be finished this year. Last year was quite good for some things happening, but this year is the start of lots of big things that will take time. I think we live in a social media age where we expect everything to happen overnight. These projects are sort of decades in the making. As I walk past a very ugly and horrible service yard for the market, which will not be here. This will be a green space with public realm improvements, and the sooner that happens, the better. So, I mean, it's good to look back, I suppose, because you forget that Sports Direct and the BHS building, USC and all that opened this year and finished off the scheme. So everything has been pushed up. Lower Precinct is pretty much full. So, you know, there have been some good things. I just haven't really documented that as I've walked around. Basically just followed the ring road just to see what's going on. But still a few bits and bobs still to do, other than just shouting and whatnot. But there we go. Fun story here, I suppose, is obviously the scheme for redevelopment ends at the Litten Tree. So this is the end of redevelopment. Reform Club is listed. As you can see, it looks like it's had some work done, because it has. It's actually a classic story of conservation in action, because the people that bought it started knocking out walls and doing stuff without planning permission, and they got dobbed in, and they ended up having to spend £850,000 putting it back to how it was. So as you can see, Reform Club's looking in remarkably good nick because they've just had to spend almost £1 million fixing all the damage they did without permission. So if you're planning any building work at home, maybe get permission before you start smashing things up. Normally I've got the energy to go to a pointless location to film this, but as you can see, the station is in front of me. Well, the red car park bit. Hotel Indigo opened last year. Again, that's another victory for Broadgate. People always moan about it, like, oh, the buildings aren't there. Yes, because you need developers to build buildings other than the council who built their own office. So, you know, these things take time. Anyway, very light rail, just while I mention it. We'll be going from test track, will be going from up there by the station, Barrack Road, all the way down here, down Victoria Road, Queen Victoria Road, and go to Poole Meadow. I think the first test track though will go to IKEA, so it'll be, don't know how long that is actually, half a mile just of test track. So they need to re-engineer the road junctions a little bit, but it'll go down here into the city centre and down Queen Victoria Road to IKEA, and that will be a test track, and I think they're looking to start that in March, April time, so we will see.